Showtime.
It's about that time.
Let's go.
You're right where you need to be. This is GCOM Radio.
Hardest radio station on the planet. Yeah.
Powered by Lyfeblood.com.
We certified.
And hosted by Nova Phoenix.
Give them that flavor.
What is going on? What is going on? What is going on with y'all? Yeah, man, we are here again. We are here again. What is the deal? What is the deal? What is cracking out there in that world, man, wherever you are coming from, whether you coming from, yes, the good old Russia, from China, from Africa, South Africa, Zimbabwe, from America, South America, wherever you at, what is the deal? What's going on, man? My joint is good. Oh, man. Yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun. It's been educational for me, and it's been, how should I say, shocking, man, reality of everything that's going on around the world. Of course, with, of course, Trump, which I'll get into later, the thing with SVB, coming off the Oscar thing and looking at movies, what's going on with Marvel and DC. And as you know, I'm always a big fan of that. And I can't believe what's going on. I mean, everything is happening, everything under the sun, the economy, of course, what's happening to black folk, as always, because I'm a black man, if anybody doesn't know. Yeah, it's a whirlwind, and I try to fit my close my arms around the whole thing and get a beat on things. And sometimes it's depressing, sometimes it's on the up and up. But I live it. I take every day like it's my last, and I try to do the best with it as much as I can. And if I don't get to do whatever I get to do, then there's always tomorrow. You know what I mean? One crazy thing, man, Mid-Journey, this AI thing is getting crazy, man. I bumped into, I don't know how I got into it. I think I was on Twitter or something, and I think I saw one of those kind of ad tweets, you know what I'm talking about, where it doesn't look like an ad, it just looks like a tweet, and they're talking about Mid-Journey. And I saw a couple of pictures, and it's just so happened I'm on Discord. It took me forever to get on Discord, but I'm on Discord. A couple of my peoples is on Discord, but now I finally started a Discord for Lyfeblood, of course, because I needed it for a submittal I was doing with a VC. And then I found out about this software called Mid-Journey. It's an AI photo generation service or app, whatever. It's not even an app, man. This thing is built into to Discord. And it's wild where we're going with this, man. It is so wild where we're going with this, where you could just write a description of something, and it will pop up a picture resembling what you articulated into Discord. And I know there's plenty of others out there, apps as far as AI photo generation softwares. I know there's plenty out there, but it's just amazing to me that the way it's going down. And it popped it up. I said, let me test it. So I said a black superhero with dreads, and he has a katana in one hand and a fireball with electricity going through it in the other. And they popped out the joint. It took me a couple tries because I didn't know what I was doing. But finally I read, I searched it on Google and read an article, and I finally got it. And then I said, build me a hyper realistic black bald muscular man with in a futuristic setting, holding a futuristic rifle, or has a futuristic rifle slung on his back. And 60 seconds later it popped it out. Yo, it is amazing. Now, it wasn't 100% perfect, but that's all good. It's the first of many. We're at the very beginning of this, and I am super geeked about. I'm like, what? I think one picture had 6 fingers. I was like, wait, how many fingers this dude got? But other than that, it was, you could go to my IG, you could go to my Twitter. It is amazing. It is amazing what they're doing with AI now. And it got me, man. It really got me. I'm wondering where all this is going to go as far as AI, artificial intelligence. And I mean, let me tell you, I was super amazed about what Midjourney can do. But a couple of minutes later, even the next day thinking about it, I really felt bad. I really felt bad for the graphic designers. I'm telling you, this thing was spitting out anything because, of course, it's on Discord. It's on the Midjourney server. People were cranking out requests, and I've seen anywhere from just random things like muscular white guy, blonde blue haired guy, and or logo, or they say build me a statue of a barbarian, and you seeing these things scroll like super fast, and I'm pausing on something. I was really taken back by this thing, man, because it really does anything you want. Now, my first one was it got wrong. Of course, it's new because I was thinking of Battle Cat. Anybody knows of Thundercats or Battle Cat? I said, make me a huge wild cat with ferocious teeth on a mountaintop that a man could ride, and it's about the size of a horse. It gave me a cat with horse-like features in the face, and it didn't give me a dude that was sitting on the cat and it wasn't roaring. So yeah, it's not exactly perfect, but I'm telling you, if you give it and you're very clear in your description, it will give you what you want. And I do feel bad for graphic designers, and because, I mean, think about it. We went to Fiverr. Of course, anybody needed something done that was cheap. Instead of going to, say in America, you go and get a graphic designer here in the States, it's going to be expensive. That's why Fiverr came out. That's why, what was the other one? Upwork. I think it was Upwork. I used both of those and I found some amazing graphic designers. But let me tell you, I really love, I feel for the artistic community, the people that are creating things. But at the same time, I'm like, it's wild. It is wild what's happening, how things are moving so fast. And the technology, I'm like, I could just make a logo over here. I could just make a logo over here right quick and give me a photo. Instead of spending $150, it's not a lot, $150, but if you could just, throw a couple of keys down, type out your words, and you're doing it for free. Now, mind you, Midjourney is not for free, and I'm sure these other softwares are not for free either. They're saying, Midjourney saying you could get the first 25 requests, but after that, they're going to offer you, a subscription. I don't know how much it is. I didn't even look that far. But let me tell you, if you are a person that needs pictures or photos for whatever you need, whether you're a writer or whatever that it is, you're a business owner, whoever you are, and you want to get something quick and dirty, and I don't know how much Midjourney is charging. Would you spend, what is it worth? And of course, it's only worth as much as you get out of it. So if you constantly need pictures from one day to the next, 1 week to the next, would you pay $50 a week? A month? Excuse me, $50. That's crazy. $50 a month, $69.99 a month. Would you pay $120 for the year? It depends on how much you need pictures. Man, but it is amazing. And I was just talking with some dudes that, where are we going with AI? And it's going to put a lot of people out of work, man. I tell you, it's going to put a lot of people out of work, not just in terms of what Midjourney is going to do with graphic designers, but once we get a hold of robots and automation and artificial intelligence and how we're going to blend those two technologies. Let me tell you, I'm not an expert, and I did tweet this. I'm not an expert as far as automation in the workforce, but I'm saying 50%, 40%. At what point, what percentage would it take where two things where it would seriously hurt the worker? Of course, human beings always went to work. Now, once you eliminate so many jobs based on that, how are people going to live? I'm sure it's going to get worse because companies only going to worry about the bottom line. They're going to introduce, hey, this is a new thing, but it's really for them to make money. And also the question of scarcity. It's argumentative as far as scarcity in our financial system today, in the way we do business in this capitalist society that we live in. People feel, and I feel as well, like scarcity is man-made. And scarcity works itself into a capitalist system because the less you have, the more you can charge. It's the same thing. I forgot the dude that had the show. Oh man, where was it? I forgot. It's the blonde guy with the blonde coif with his hair thing. And he had a show where it was telling the truth about things. He was talking about the diamond industry and De Beers and how there's just a shit ton of diamonds out there in Africa, but they hid those diamonds, right? Of course. And they, at the same time, developed a marketing scheme to sell it to people in America where, that famous line, a diamond is a girl's best friend. And people started buying diamonds. They said, of course, at one point, diamond rings wasn't a thing when people got married. But then when they did this marketing scheme and they pushed it out to American people, of course, you're going to get your loved one what you think they deserve because, what's the price of love, right? So that happened, and a whole lot of African brothers and sisters got caught up in the game, and they got, mishandled and what you call blood diamonds. And you find out that there's a shit ton of diamonds in Africa, and diamonds are not as expensive as we thought. So, and mind you, I don't even see diamond rings anymore. I don't even see. It's funny. It's funny when you get information out there, when people get a hold of it, people change their behavior, because once you let the cat out the bag, once the truth is in your face, it's really hard to turn back. It's really hard to turn back. And I think he had something to do with it. Now, his show ended. He was telling too much truth. I forgot the name of this dude. And let me see if I can find it right quick. What was his name? Show telling truth about diamonds. Let me see if I can find him. And he still has a show. He still has a show somewhere. I think he's on Adam. Yeah, Adam Ruins Everything. That's the guy. I don't know his last name, but Adam Ruins Everything. And let me tell you something. I don't see diamond rings anymore. Ever since the piece of information came out, whether it was on a show or other sources, and I think it had to do with the show, because this show was super old before, social media as we know it and understand it today. It wasn't what it was at that time that show aired. I don't think, I don't remember. I don't think it was as big as if I could recall. And, people stop wearing diamond rings. I really don't see it. I don't see wedding bands and wedding rings and all that. And the only really people that's flossing diamonds are like the rappers, the celebrities. But regular people, I don't see diamond rings anymore. I don't see diamond necklaces. I don't see diamond earrings. I don't see it at all. Like when I see wedding rings, I see people with black bands on or tungsten or something or other. I don't see wedding rings anymore. And I personally think people got hit to the game. They was like, word, screw it. I'm not buying no diamond ring. $10,000, especially when you can make them. The technology where you can create different colored diamonds. So why are you charging me $20,000, $10,000, $12,000 of my hard-earned money? And you can make it die. It's not like the value of an object comes from the labor you put into it. So if you're digging deep into a cave to extract a rare mineral and it goes on the market from the capitalist system, it's going to have high value. It's going to have a high price tag. If there's a whole lot of something, it's going to have a low price tag because it's easily accessible. And that's what I say about going back to robots and automation. You don't, when is that going to come into play, and what would be the percentage of its as it breaks into that workforce, where things will change when it comes to scarcity. Because if you can have a robot work 24/7 and doesn't need health care, it won't have to worry about medical care. It's not going to retire. It's nonstop. It's working day in and day out. It's producing for you more than an average human. than what happens as far as what we understand with how this capitalist system goes with products. The more you pump out, the less value it has. Just like I said with diamonds. Now, if you have a robot that's consistently like saying, taking a bin of oranges, and it's doing that day and night, day and night, day and night. The truck's going out day and night, day and night. The price of the product goes down, of the produce goes down. So, I mean, what's that going to mean when the argument comes with scarcity? We do that now. The same thing with the eggs thing. Yo, listen, I posted, remember when at one point it was on the news and eggs was like $10 a carton, and then all started coming out where all these chicken farms was burning down. I threw it up on Twitter. I threw it up on TikTok. They took that thing down. So don't think that TikTok is as open as you think. It depends on what you post. And it's not like we're going into wild conspiracy theories. And I reshared the video. And it was true. The guy was showing the articles. He was showing this farm burnt down and that farm next to that farm burnt down. I'm like, why are all these farms mysteriously burning down? I don't get it. So that's what happened in New York when it came at one time in the 80s when New York was burnt out. Excuse me, before it was burnt out. Excuse me, I'm jumping the gun there. My brain is moving faster than my lips. When at one point it was hard to put people in the Bronx, and it was crazy, and there was no renters. What did the owners of these brownstones buildings do? They all of a sudden they had fires happening everywhere. I was like, that house is going on fire. That house is going on fire. And they was walking away with the insurance money. And that's how the Bronx is kind of like half of Bronx is burnt out. So, there was a saying that going, but I don't want to say it. And all of a sudden it would be like, oh, you being mad big, because they were saying who owned the buildings back then in the Bronx and why they going up. So, hey, man, it is what it is. But that's what I'm saying as far as technology and automation and artificial intelligence and all that. Like, there's going to come a time, as much as people will try to play slick with scarcity, as much people will try to play slick with the jobless, once companies get a hold on how we're going to insert automation and artificial intelligence to make more money and to produce more, that question, those topics are going to come front and center. And then that's going to spin off into universal basic income. And then as far as scarcity and all that, it's all bullshit. Anyway, that's my take on it. Anyway, so let's get into the show. Yes, I ain't even get started yet. So let's do this. Like Brutus, I am your host, Nova Phoenix, on GCOM Radio on iHeartRadio. And our first topic is 3D printed homes. That's crazy. And I was going to mention that before. Over the weekend, the first 3D printed home had an open house in Long Island, New York, more specifically, Islandia, New York. It was beautiful. Say what? That's what I said. But, see, you wasn't listening. Anyway, so I'm gonna repeat. That's my wife butting in on my conversation. Anyway, the first 3D printed house in New York that has an open house. It's crazy. It's a single level home. The company is called, oh my God, how can I fit? It's right here on this paper. I got it right here. So I got all the information. It's called SQ4D. I've been looking at this for a while. The company's called SQ4D. I've been looking at 3D printed homes for a while, looking at videos, seeing how viable it was. Is it really as tough as they say it is? And to me, it's like a no-brainer, especially for the price of homes today. People are going to be running. This guy is definitely in the right place at the right time. And I signed up on their website, SQ4D.com. I'm pretty sure that's where you can go to the website and, just seeing what exactly they were doing. And I'm looking forward to this thing taking off, because the price of homes in New York is out of control. Now, mind you, the interest rates have gone up by the Fed, and that's definitely going to stutter step the movement of our economy. And I think especially is going to affect the housing markets. And supposedly the little murmurs are happening. I see on Twitter, they're saying that the housing market is dropping some. New York is a tough cookie to crack, I tell you. So I don't know as far as the value of home goes. Let's see what happens in the next 6 months to a year. Let's see what happens. But yeah, so it's a definite option to go to 3D printing or container homes. Container homes is a thing of on a ship, on a huge ship where they transport goods and anywhere between toys and cars, right? You see those huge cargo containers. They're either 10 foot long, 20 foot long. I think there's one that's 40 foot long. Yeah, 40 foot long. And someone said, hey man, we could take that same thing if we just do it like Legos and attach one to the other. We have a home here. And if you look it up and you Google it, there are a lot of different even businesses that are getting into it because it's inexpensive. It's inexpensive to construct a business or a home using these containers. And I did research on that, and it's a viable option. So right now I'm looking at whether it's going to be a 3D printed home, a container home, or to buy home. I think personally it's going to be a new build because at least you have a lot more to work with on where you want things to be, especially what they're doing now with building these high-rise luxury apartment buildings. And I'm like, and some of them, even when the ones are for the quote-unquote lower income folks, I can't afford the lower income ones, but these luxury homes, and I'm like, for the price of them, $3,000, $4,000, I'm like, huh? And then at the same time, $3,000 to $4,000, these things have shrunk compared to the pre-war building apartments from yesteryear that's still standing now today. I'm like, yo, why y'all with me? Not only do you want to charge me more money, but I have less square footage living in these new constructed luxury quote unquote high rise. Hell to the no, man. So if you're with it and you could deal with the less square footage, I don't see why they're shrinking it and you pay more. That's what they're trying to get away with, which I think is total bullshit. But I think the viable option, if you want to get a home, would be a container home or a 3D printed home. And 3D printed home, as you know, if people don't know about it for the first time, you're probably thinking, what's a 3D printed home? All it is concrete. They got a 1-arm machine with a hose on it and like an articulated boom, like in construction, with a hose attached to it, and it pumps out a special mix of concrete, and they constantly moving a layer around the perimeter of the home until it gets to the right height. And then they continue. If you want a second level, they pour that and they pour the next one. It is super cheap and it's super effing quick. So a typical home would be anywhere between, a typically constructed home would be anywhere between 6 months and a year. You know how much it would take to build completely a 3D printed home? 3 to 6 weeks. 3 to 6 weeks. Your home is built, ready to go. And all you have to worry about is putting furniture in there. If you want drywall involved, if you want flooring, wood flooring. The one that we saw in Atlanta, New York, it was finished concrete. It was very nice. It could go like that where you can step on concrete. But then if it gets cold, you know what I mean? So I think, again, it's your choice if you want wood flooring, or the other option is cork flooring. That's a new thing. I think it's dope. I've seen what it looks like. Cork, typical cork that you put in a wine bottle. They've actually made flooring out of cork material. So of course, you have to fit out your kitchen and your bathrooms and the bedrooms, of course, that's all on you and how you want to do it. Of course, you got to put in your boiler. How's that work? All those things come into play. So I'm in the midst of that. Hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers, everything goes according to plan, knock on wood. And hopefully we can get somewhere in the near future, probably by the next year. Let's see what happens. Wish me luck. All right. So the next thing, Trump, this boy. So Trump is supposedly indicted on paying off a prostitute. Old Stormy Daniels, that story kind of bubbled to the surface again. So the Manhattan DA is indicting ex-president Donald Trump for paying off Stormy Daniels $130,000 to keep her trap shut right before he started really seriously campaigning for the president. some time ago, and he sent out a tweet. Everybody knows at this point that he sent out a tweet telling them out they got to protest and they got to back him. He was running. I don't know. It leaked, and he was on his own social media app talking about people should protect them and get out there, and this is crazy, blah, 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 blah. Man, to me, all this is some bullshit. He's not getting arrested, folks. He's not getting arrested. He's not. Look, this dude literally, I think he's almost like, what's that Marvel superhero called? I forgot the head skull thing, fire, you know who I'm talking about. This dude must have made a deal with the devil, because as long as this man has been alive, he has never ever has been indicted let me change my mind. He has went to court and he has settled, but he has not spent a lick 1 second of time in jail for any of the numerous ton amount of shit that he did over the years, even as a businessman when he was in Trump Tower and all that. If he ain't go to jail then, he ain't going to jail now, because he's going to use ex-presidential privilege. He gonna talk to somebody, get on some horn, and he's gonna get off. So all this is doing to me is just spinning up a nice little PR situation for him so he can run for president. And on top of that, to find out you can still run for president even if you have a misdemeanor or anything like that nature. I can't believe it. I mean, the bar has been, let me tell you, George W. Bush, yo, if anybody remembers George W. Bush, that dude was a straight buffoon. That's what everybody was calling him. That's what people call him now. It's funny how he just disappeared. He just disappeared. But when he was president, everybody was like, how did we get here? So bad, where he was doing the press conference, I think in Dubai or something, and the Arab journalist threw the shoe at him. He had good reflexes though. He did. I'm not gonna front. For old dude, he had two reflexes. But anyway, everybody was saying like, this dude is, how did we get here? I didn't think it could get any worse. And then, oh my God, we got this dude Trump. I'm like, say word. Say word. But yeah, this is the Teflon Don. This dude ain't gonna see no jail. I've come to accept that fact that Donald Trump is not going to serve a one lick of a second, a minute in jail. Everybody else around him went to jail. He ain't. I don't know what this dude. Oh my God. So yeah, man, this is just some old bullshit that he doing, man. Not for him. The DA, I don't know how. I don't know. Anyway, so this dude ain't seeing nothing. Unfortunately, getting away from the lighter moments of this life with Trump. Unfortunately, there's situations that was going on. 2 instances where brothers got caught up in some racist acts. Of course, it's always happened with black folk in this country. Is wild shit all the time. One brother got killed in Mississippi. Oh my God, it's crazy. One brother got killed in Mississippi. Let me see if I can go through the story right quick. His name is Rasheem Rael, I think, Carter. And it happened in Taylorsville, Mississippi. So a short and sweet part of the story was, he was a young man. He went to community college, Hines Community College in 2016 in Utica. And then he got a job in Brookhaven, Mississippi. And then finally, in late September, he got another job for lumber contracting in Taylorsville, Mississippi. So he went out there, of course. One day his mother gets a text from him saying that he feels like he's being followed, that he thinks he's going to get killed. His mother calls, texts him back, or communicates, I don't know, by text or by phone, but communicated with him just to see how he was doing, if it was true. He said, nah, I'm cool, ma, no problem. Next thing you know, I don't know how much longer after that, but the brother got ran up on again, to the point where he went to the police, because I think his mother said that he should go to the police, and he did. And the police said, I can't do nothing for you. And he's like, I swear somebody's following me. And the cops didn't want to do anything at all. And he said, all right, can you at least give me a ride home? They refused to give him a ride home. And they actually said, I don't know if this was said on tape or anything like that, but they say, we're not a taxi service. We can't give you a ride home. And he was staying at a Super 8 motel, I think in Laurel, Mississippi. And it's 22 miles southeast of Taylorsville. So his mother called him much later, couldn't get a hold of him, disappeared. Of course, she was suspicious. She was worried. She was fearful of his life. And she sent someone down to look for him in Taylorsville. The person couldn't find him whatsoever. And a month later, they found his body in the woods. It's crazy, man. So they found his body in the woods. This is 2023, folks. 2023. They found his body in the woods. The mother called the police station. The police went, found him. And they're saying that there was no foul play. They did an autopsy. Let me see if I can scroll down here. Let me put out a statement. They said they have no reason. The Smith County Sheriff's Office in Raleigh said, which was running the investigation, put out a statement on November 3rd. Excuse me, this happened in 2022. Excuse me. Regardless, this happened today. Saying, at this time, we have no reason to believe foul play was involved. But the case is still under investigation. They said the family was immediately skeptical. The state did an autopsy the month later on November 22nd. They're saying it was more suspect. They said it did know that the remains showed, quote, no pathological conditions or significant skeletal trauma, unquote. But they observed several fractures. They said there was decomposition, of course, and evidence of animals biting, trying to, I guess, consume the body at some point, because he was out in the, excuse me, folks, sorry, I'm trying to sit in my chair. He was out in the woods for a minute, and that's how the police left it, all right? They did their own autopsy. Actually, they got civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump involved in the matter, and they did their own autopsy. And what happened was, and I'll read, in a Monday news conference, Crump said his examinations revealed that Carter, the young man, had been, quote unquote, dismembered, and his head was not attached to his body. So obvious this is evidence of foul play, obvious that the police department in that county has something to do with it. Either they were involved or they know personally the people that were involved in the death of this young man. They're saying that I could go further with the story. There are other details that deepen the question of whether somebody killed Carter. On October 4th, Tiffany Carter said an investigator flagged to her that there was a $500 transaction on his debit card from an ATM. She shared a transaction record with HuffPost. That's who was talking about this case. Reported this case in the article, that's where I'm reading from, that showed the card. But Houston, the Smith County Sheriff, told HuffPost his office believed the card had not actually been used since August, and he did not explain the discrepancy with the transaction record. Obviously, there's some foul play afoot going on in here, and definitely there's some cover-up going. So I'm glad that Ben Crump is on the case. It's quite unfortunate. Let me tell you that this still happens in 2023. Black folk, y'all got to be careful. Y'all got to be careful. Y'all got to be careful. Anyway, there was the other case, and hopefully these people have immediate justice. Every police officer should be fired from that. The coroner that did the autopsy, he should be fired. Everybody should be fired and to face charges, because this is absolutely a cover-up, and everybody's involved, from the killer of this young man to the folks that are covering this up. Now, there was another death of, not a death. Thank God, not a death. But unfortunately, there was another brother got messed up pretty good by police. All right. This happened In this other article, he already has an attorney. Daryl Rhymes is the gentleman that got hurt up, but his attorney is saying that, let me see here. I can read it from it was tweeted. I found it on social media. Again, the gentleman's name is, I'm sorry, it just popped up when I was trying to say his name. The young man's name is Raheem Carter. No, I'm sorry. The young man's name is Daryl Rhymes. Raheem Carter was the gentleman that got killed in Mississippi, Taylorsville. This brother that got beat up, his name is Daryl Rhymes. So, and this tweet, it says, a post. I think this looks like Facebook. It says, 5 days ago, my son and his girlfriend were on their way to his godson basketball game in Cincinnati, Ohio. While driving, they stopped in a small town in Greensburg, Indiana, to a gas station. While leaving the gas station, they were followed by 2 police cars. I can't remember the time, but I do know it was Friday night. The police pulled them over and asked them to get out the car. They both asked the police why, and I was told they were driving slow and smell weed. As my son and his girlfriend looked up, it was more police arriving. One woman cop told them, "If you don't get out of the car, I'm gonna drag you out." So when they heard that, they fled the scene. And getting caught at another gas station, my son surrendered with his hands up. The police tased him in the back of his head, and he woke up in the hospital with broken bones in his face. I will not post pictures due to his horrific injuries. When reading up on this town, I came to find out that it was a sundown town, meaning no blacks should be allowed going through this town at night. My people, please be aware of these towns. Never stop for anything. Keep going. My son did not deserve this, and thank God he is alive to tell his testimony. Now, there is video of this young brother. They messed him up. He lost teeth. His face is pretty messed up. They got him pretty good, man. And it's not something that you can get from a fall. They say he received his injuries after they tased him and he fell. Hell no. And they were saying, of course, the articles are saying like why he ran. You know why he ran, right? Forget the weed. When most of the United States is you can smoke weed for free, especially based on the amount. It's not like my man had like ounces or brick stacks in his trunk. It was just weed in his car that he was smoking, a little clip. But let me tell you, he ran because his black spidey sense went off. His black spidey sense went off. He knew what was going down, and he ran with his girlfriend. He's like, if I stick around, I'm gonna end up dead. And he bimmed out, and it was at night. Remember, folks, it was at night. You gonna stick around, and you see cops, and you probably looking at the cops, and they had the look in their eye. He was like, I'm out. And they gave chase, and he got caught at the gas station, and this is what happened. And now it was a sundown town. Now, folks, you know what a sundown town is. I just explained it from what she wrote. Is black people that cannot be in certain towns at night. Now, I've heard a couple of stories already where people, they've been truck drivers that were black and they was just riding through, and they were actual people that was like, I know you don't live here, but I'm gonna let you know you can't be here after dark. You're gonna have to be out. And they said it nicely to people, and those black folk was like, no problem. All right, and they got the hell out of Dodge. Y'all, we gotta be careful. I'm gonna say it one more time. And I just want to give a shout out to Daryl Rhymes. Hopefully a quick recovery, and he gets justice as well. And they catch all these cops that got around. I'm not even talking about getting fired. They need to be locked up. But I'm not even talking about the perpetrators of Rasheem Carter and the young brother. I don't want to mess up his name. Excuse me, folks. Rasheem Carter, right? Daryl Rhymes and Rasheem Carter. Daryl Rhymes and Rasheem Carter. Rest in peace, Rasheem Carter. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, black people, and I said this before on the show, and I'll say it again. Y'all have got to be careful where you go. Stop listening to that all-American, hand across the heart, America the Beautiful. Everybody's all good. It's United Colors of Benetton. Love each other. Let's stop all that mess. Now, I'm not saying that we can't treat each other as human beings, but there is another side to America, and we have to start thinking with intention. I'm going to keep on saying this every show. Black people got to start thinking with intention. Where you go, where you want to end up, who you chill with, where you chilling, how you plan to get somewhere. Because now more than ever, we can't say this ain't no Obama time. We had the wool pulled over our eyes and everything. Everybody was talking about this multicultural society, this multicultural society, that. There's a part of America that ain't going for it. Don't care. They don't care. You have to be careful, okay? On where you live, how you move, who you decide to chill with. As I said, because you can end up dead. You can end up hurt. Not to say that racist acts can't happen in Democratic-led cities. I'm not saying it can't happen. It happens in New York. It happens in LA, as we all know. It happens in big cities. But you got to be careful when you are by yourself. Racist, white supremacists think different when you are in number. Not to say that they don't think like that, but they think twice. So you have to keep your black ass where you should be or where you going. Now, of course, I'm not saying for you to be in an open air prison. Go where you must. But don't end up in no sundown town, or don't, as I said before, you ain't moving next to some KKK county where you see the glow in the night horizon and there's really a cross burning. We know that. That's the absolute, we get it. You know what I mean? That's the extreme. But now more than ever, we have to think, especially on the energy that's building, the words that are being said, the messages that are being relayed to certain bases, from Tucker Carlson to all the extremely right fringe people. They're out there. They don't like what's going on. They don't like this multicultural business. They don't like their heroes that used to be white now are being, they don't even like their heroes that they knew of turned into white women. And that's white supremacy is intimately linked with all the other isms. They don't even want to see their characters turn into white women. That's how bad it is. So I'm telling y'all, you have to move with intentionality. Okay, excuse me. I don't know how this started. I got this video starting. When you leave the article open, it throws an ad and it was playing in my ear. Understand what I'm saying? Now I'm saying segregate. I'm not saying that where you live or anything like that. But you must find strength in your people, strength in numbers. Now you can be in a multicultural place, no problem. You have your allies that are brown. You got your allies that are white, Jewish, anyone. You have allies, and they respect your life. But either you can live there or you can live in an all-black town, and strength in numbers. Okay. Because racists love the fact that you're by yourself or you have little number. That's why that cowardice, it always plays out on them. They won't do that when it's equal and everything's in a level playing field. They think twice, but they will love to take the opportunity to try to run up on you when you're by yourself. So as I said, especially when it's connected with those farmers out there, I think it was in Montana. Why did you buy acreage in a place where it is straight up MAGA land? And don't think you're going to go to police expecting that you're going to get justice. Okay. My brother Rasheem Carter was trying to go to the police in that local neighborhood in Taylorsville, Mississippi. And they was like, we can't do nothing for you. Understand what I'm saying? They was down right along with him. Who knew? They was probably the crew that killed this young man, Mr. Carter. Understand what I'm saying? So, you get that out of your head. Get that. Stop watching Channel 7. Stop swallowing the propaganda that you see on TV or whatever networks or radio. That's all well and good, but there's a reality. So get in where you fit in. Make sure you know who the sheriff is. Make sure you know who the mayor is. Make sure you know who the DA is. Everybody. Because all those people The same people that's doing you dirty in that small town you in, wherever you at, are the same people that look like them if it's 98% white. And you know by the vote, they vote MAGA. Now, don't get it twisted. There you got some racist Democrats too. I'm not saying that's one-sided. I'm neither Republican or Democrat. But I'm saying you have to be very aware who you surround yourself with. Because it's life or death, or that's the worst case scenario. But if you're a business owner and you're just trying to do your thing in your local area, you won't get any traction, or you're gonna get messed with. So you gotta make sure we do what's necessary, man. Make sure you do what's necessary. Take care of your owns. All right. It's called self-preservation of life. Take care of your families. If you want to move to a town where there's black people in it. 100,000, 150,000. If you would say, hey, no, listen, I'm poor, I ain't got no money. I was even thinking about a relocation program that black people get into and fund, and say, hey, listen, you will see setting you up so you go into this town. There's a lot of black people because, again, when there's not a lot of them in Mississippi. Mississippi same way. Mississippi been since that movie Mississippi Burning. We still got these issues. Yeah, there's a lot of interracial couples, and you see all that thing going down like, everything's all good and this is a new day. But nah, there's a whole lot of pockets in Mississippi that ain't going for all that mess. So maybe I understand, but my grandfather lived it. Yeah, I know. Generational Black American, right? Generational African American. You've been there since long. Hey, man, there was a great migration to the north. Now, I'm not saying there's going to be a great migration up in the north. We did that already. Black folk know that, but there's a great migration where your people at. Understand what I'm saying? Or you're a nice mix of different people. Big cities. Or make yourself a big city. Tie up some counties around there. 20,000 county there. You got a 50,000 county. Maybe you could do some politics and meld some cities. You could start a whole brand new city. Understand what I'm saying? Because it's about life or death at this point. And if you still want to go down, that road saying, no, everything's all good, I can live anywhere, this is the American way, I'm American, that's what. Okay. You got to play it smart. Intention. Play it smart, folks. Okay, so the next thing on the list. Damn, a lot of these banks are going down, by the way, man. Hearing First Republic having issues, Signature Banks having issues. I'm listening to a lot of some podcasts on basically, when I spoke about it last week about SVB, Silicon Valley Bank, and how that kind of toppled over because the interest rates and how that was tied into where these banks were putting their money into these bonds, these treasury bonds. And, the funny thing is I was listening to one podcast with Pomp, and they were saying that the people knew that the crash was going to happen. He knew these banks were going to be hollowed out and they were going to fail. And it makes sense almost, because think about it. We don't know. We're average everyday people. We didn't know that was going to happen, but they knew. And they were making posts about it and putting out articles. And they would say, how could it be a top secret thing that they knew and they would put it out? That's not really top secret. Yes, it is top secret. It's kind of tight. You just hide the truth in plain sight. Because how many people are going to these specific financial related websites talking about what's going on in our financial system? All right, what's going on in our economy? Some people don't do, unless you are in finance. You have interest in finance. You went to school for finance, and you're plugged into all these sites, and you're reading it, and you can see between the lines. Yeah, no doubt. But if you're not anywhere involved, you don't know. All of a sudden, you see SVBs saying people are making a run on the bank. It's kind of like the same thing in terms of music, right? We didn't know that these artists' contracts were bad. We just liked the music, and they became multi-platinum artists. And then when you hear their story, people knew, apart from the group, aside from the group, their managers, road managers, and everybody around them, their families, their friends, knew that they were poor. We did not know that if you're outside of that circle. It's the same thing in the banks. When the Fed raised the interest rates and people started to panic and SVB and say, yo, we got to pull our money out of these bonds, we're going to lose money. And they knew beforehand that they were going to lose money when the Fed, of course they knew, because when the Fed was talking about they're going to raise the rates, all those people that are in finance that work in the banking industry, they knew ahead of time. They were like, wait a second, if the Fed's going to raise the rates, we got all these bonds locked. Oh man. They knew it was going to happen. So instead of alerting people, they kind of like spoke to each other and was like, man, maybe we can put some money over here. Maybe, protect ourselves as individuals or other people. So I'm like, God damn, articles were written, they were put out, and they kind of, like I said, remember before, they'll mash up the language. So if someone decides to read this article, they're not really going to get it because they're not educated in the financial industry, right? In finance. So they're going to be like, okay, that's just gobbledygook to me. But when you break it down, if you are knowledgeable in that, you're going to be like, oh shit, that means this bank is going to go insolvent. All right. So, I mean, they knew ahead of time, but they didn't tell the depositors that. And look at where we at now. And they're saying that there's going to be a whole lot more banks that's going to take this blow. Who knows how this is going to go? People are hip to the game. My man from not the Jeffersons, Dynamite. I wanted me to see get my man name from JJ Walker. That's like sometimes I remember different things. And as Renate Walker's TV show on CBS, oh man, I just had it. The father actor, he did a short video. He did a short video with his son and a friend of his talking about they was trading dollars all around. And he was like, yo, you owe me money, $20, and you owe me money. Oh man, I just had it. CBS show Good Times, right? The father of Good Times, right? Cast. I want to get his name. There you go. John Amos. Couldn't remember his name. John Amos was with his son and with another guy, and they was running this game. I saw it the first time I saw it, what they were doing. The Three Stooges did it, but I think they got it from the Three Stooges back then. And people was trying to connect it to what's going on with all these banks and our economy and everything. And John Amos, they was like, hey, you owe me $20. Okay, I'll give you $20. Hey, don't you owe me, the third guy, don't you owe me $20? Oh yeah, that's right. Here's $20. And then it goes back to John Amos and he said, oh, wait a second. I remember you took $10. Oh yeah, but I got 10, here's 20. And it was like, huh? So in a short way, describing how that situation is, nobody had money. And everybody had money. All they were doing was trading this 20 around, saying who owes, who takes, who gets, and nothing really changed in their hands. So, and it says a lot about what's going on in the economy, and that's what these banks are doing as far as when we as depositors put our money in the bank and what they do with our money by lending it out to other places, and then they got to get them. It's a whole circle of. Yeah. He said, Noble, why are you talking like this? Hey, I'm a capitalist. I'm a capitalist if I'm doing my business or not. You know how I'm a capitalist? Because I got to take my ass to work. I got to pay bills. I got to buy things. I am a working, functioning capitalist. Everybody's playing this game. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, let's move forward. So I was on Twitter and I was watching this, my timeline go, and I saw this woman. Her name is Evie Ani. I think that's what her name is, right? Her name, let me just shrink this. Let me get this out the way. Let me go to Evie Ani, right? Here you go. So Evie Ani, when I go to her page, and I subscribe to her. She's a journalist, writer, on-air host, former editorial director, NYU alumna, Niger Booking. I don't know what that means. Niger period booking. Anyway, so she's got quite a following, and it's not so much of a following, but I saw I don't know how I got this. It's wild. I never followed her before. All of a sudden, this thing popped up. I know how it goes as far as social media. When someone that you're connected to likes a tweet from another person that you're not connected to, they show up on your timeline because you're connected with that person who liked that other person's page. So Eviani popped up on my timeline, and it was a video that I saw that she was in, and it was about, there was an ABC special called Tone Death, Loss, and Hip Hop, all just talking about the deaths of rappers since way back when. So I was like, I kind of answered her, and I shot her out a message saying, okay, because I'm always skeptical how major news treats black culture, treats hip hop, treats black people. So I said I will check it out. I'm not going to pass any judgments, but just be careful how the news can try to pathologize the black community in terms of violence, and try to make it one and the same. And this is something that's inbred within us, and that's why hip hop is violent. That's why black people is violent. And this story could go in so many different directions that could paint us in a bad light, or put us in a bad light. And I said I would just watch it and I'll see what it is. She responded. She said it was a fair, from her point of view, it was a fair showing of a presentation of this small doc, this mini doc, Tone Death. So I was like, all right, I'll check it out and talk about it on the show. So I saw the thing. I'll give it up. All right, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. It from a major news network expose, if you want to call it, or mini doc, however you want to call it. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. They were talking about the violence in hip hop, and that there's issues in hip hop, and all these rappers are dying, and they listed they had a list of rappers that died, and yeah, it happens. It's the unfortunate reality in hip hop. Because it's an unfortunate reality in poor communities. And they did say they tied it to poverty. That's why I said it wasn't as bad. They weren't trying to say, oh, black people are just animalistic thugs. No, they did tie it to poverty. And when people have a lack of opportunity, they use violent means to get where they need to go. Survival of the fittest. And there's some people that came straight from the streets and got into music. And they have taken that behavior and that they've learned, that they've been socialized to be, and brought it over into hip hop. This is a true thing. And they talked about Pop Smoke. Pop Smoke, of course, it's something that when I heard that he died, I was it was unfortunate. It did hit me in a way because the dude was from Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn. He's Panamanian, I'm Panamanian, who knew? And more specifically, Brooklyn, he was in Canarsie. I know some folks in Canarsie. And, they spoke about Canarsie like, not that it was in a bad way or in like trying to make it seem like it was like Beirut, but there's some words that they were saying like, Canarsie, the shootouts. And I'm from Brooklyn, all right? I'm born and bred in New York. Canarsie, really? To me. And let me say this. I don't know, and this is not a call out to get people in Canarsie listen to the show and be like, yo, Canarsie mad tough. Yo, man, what you talking about? You don't know Canarsie, you... All right. All I'm saying is based on my experience, the people that I knew, when I've been in Canarsie a couple times, and Mill Basin is right next to Canarsie, and I never thought of Canarsie of being a big problem. Now, I was in Canarsie 24/7, but we always thought of Canarsie as a place where hardworking black people, when they built up their money, they finally had an opportunity to get a house and live a somewhat suburban life. And that's similar to Queens. When hardworking black people saved up the monies over the years, they bought a house and they moved to Queens. But of course, when it comes to poverty is everywhere. You can even live in a house and you could deal with poverty, and you could deal with violence that's connected to poverty. People that don't have try to get, and to get by any means necessary. But Canarsie was not like bad in a way where it's like you were ducking your head and you turn your head left and right. That's not how I came up, even when I was young and I heard about Canarsie. The areas I heard about when I was young? Brownsville. The area I was talking about that I heard about was crazy? Bed-Stuy. What else? Bushwick. All right. That's the areas that I heard was bad. Crown Heights was called. It was called Crow Hill. Right. Crown Heights it's right next to Bed-Stuy. So I know it was crazy. And of course, Flatbush had its heyday. It had its issues. But those are the neighborhoods where he was like, yo, you better be careful, son. Because you can get got in these areas. So I know Brooklyn, but I never heard no Canarsie being crazy like that. You know, my man bought property in Canarsie. I go over to Canarsie, I'll go over there and see when my man, I never was nervous in Canarsie like that. Or walking on pins and needles. But, when you're walking through Bed-Stuy, you looking left. I mean, Bed-Stuy from back in the day. You know what I mean? It was crazy back then. It was. As you came up when in my 20s, but then to me, then Bed-Stuy, and I say specifically, started to change. And there was some nice parts of Bed-Stuy, but still, the reputation was crazy. But Bed-Stuy started to slowly turn around, and I didn't think of Bed-Stuy like that no more. And then when you had a growing black economy in Bed-Stuy, because black folks own their brownstones, and I'm talking about the 90s now, mid 90s, people started to come up. It started to change. Now you still had your hood parts, of course. Bed-Stuy still has hood part, but you started to see change. People started, coming, sharing the black dollar, building black businesses. Seeing there's beautiful brownstones in Bed-Stuy, yeah, man, it definitely did change. Like I said, not to say you didn't have situations, because even when I was living in Bed-Stuy later on in my, say my 30s, you still had. I saw where I lived, the dude got splayed out right on the intersection, dead. Yo, he spread eagle, shot dead in the street, right in front of me, where I live. I looked out the window, see my man. I was, hey. It's real. Now, so I'm not saying that it was a complete 180 of Bed-Stuy, but you still could walk through Bed-Stuy and appreciate all the beauty that Bed-Stuy gave, but being very aware that they still had the element. You know what I mean? So when they talked about Canarsie, I'm like, what? Pop Smoke came up like that? And it reminds me of a situation where I knew these two dudes, going to music, and these two dudes are in the industry. And I'm not going to say the name of the group because I don't want to call them out. But, I played their music on my show when I was playing a lot of music before on GCOM. And I was connected to them through a friend of mine in the industry, in the music industry. And I love their music. But then when I got into their backstory, I interviewed them. I got into their backstory. And you know what to find out? These dudes went to college. They went to college. Folks, they went to college and their music was full of, like G'd up, got got the heat, rolling up on cap, pop, pop, pop. They was talking regular stuff. And I was like, huh? But y'all college educated dudes. But their reasoning, their logic behind it was like, hey man, this is the music that's really out there right now. We trying to get in. We understand, but that's the music we gotta be about. And I never understood it, but I respected the answer they gave. So sometimes I think about that with Pop Smoke coming from Canarsie. Like I said, I'm not saying Canarsie don't have the edgy part, but still Canarsie was never like how it was in Bed-Stuy and Brownsville and Bushwick, all that. So, and the way he died, it was just he wasn't thinking, and he was on social media and he showed the address where he was at, and you had some thirsty ass wolves come out and he got into a situation, and he had an unfortunate passing. And then they were saying 2 years later, rapper T-Dot Wu, I don't know him, that dude I don't know, but they said he had a deal. He just got a deal and he got killed right after, hours after signing the deal. And that's what we're talking about. They were talking about Canarsie. I'm like, damn, it's unfortunate. I don't know the situation. Rest in peace to my brother. I don't even know his music, but T-Dot Wu, shout out to him and his family. But this is that's a part of the community, man. The violence, when you don't have anything and you see somebody getting it, there's always going to be thirsty wolves out there that's going to try to snatch something from you. And that means taking your life where they could get credit, because usually the young and ill-informed. They wrapped up in their 5-block radius, so they think points in their life is by taking someone else's life or by taking their jewels or something like that, getting street cred. But we know that's not what it was. But they did also talk about G Herbo. G Herbo, of course, coming out of Chi-Town, and he had a hard life, and he was being very forward. He was being very transparent and talking about his life and how he came up and you know, seeing his people die. He lost all emotion when he was going to funerals, and it really hit him hard. But he did talk about that he did go to therapy, and to know that he had PTSD, the same thing that soldiers would get by being in war, because he saw so much death and violence and pain. But he had to go through his growth and repair by seeking therapy and trying to find out why he was what he was. And that's what I appreciated in this doc. And that also that he's trying to open up a facility for kids that are disenfranchised in his community. I think it was called, if I see it right, he's trying to get back. It was in a town. Let me see here. It's actually in an old abandoned school, and I forgot where it was. Right here, it's in Bronzeville in Chicago. And he has a partner named Gain, Ghaine Foreman. He's a former president of a CPD, Chicago PD, that's helping him get this thing together. And I think it's dope. And this facility that he's building out is going to focus on music and art, and not just in the typical stuff, but teaching trades and engineering to young kids that don't have that opportunity. So I love what G Herbo was doing and turning things around and trying to do something better in his community, and understanding that pain, that trauma that he went through, and he doesn't want other kids to go through that. So I think that's a beautiful thing. But all the good things about this documentary, what they didn't mention that I thought that was important is where and why is there poverty in black communities? Now, they did go through it when they were talking about the facility, and Gain Foreman was talking about Bronzeville, and it was an original black neighborhood when black folk, African Americans, were coming up. It was the Great Migration, they call it, from the South, trying to get a better life, and they moved to cities like, of course, like New York and Chicago, and Bronzeville turned out to be that. But what came with moving into Bronzeville, it's not like they could escape a racism. Like, racism was just particular to a certain region. It was racism anywhere. That's why it's systemic, and it's white supremacy. And what black folk had to go through in the northern cities was no different from what they experienced in southern cities. And they were redlined, and they were disenfranchised. Their access was taken away. And what happens when you don't have these things? You turn to crime. And what I didn't appreciate was them connecting the dots in a way where it was clear for the viewers on where it came from, that is generational and is based in a white supremacist society as far as what black African American experience, and how it is generational, and it passes down from G Herbo to his father, to his grandfather, to his great grandfather, all the way back, going to 100, 150, 200 years back to slavery, and how you can have a direct line from where his ancestors were in bondage to where G Herbo is today, and how he had to work through his trauma. And all of it is interconnected. And the show didn't quite make those connections. And it's important that hip hop is a musical art form. And they did say that it's not just violence in hip hop, but violence in America. But this is specifically our story that we need to tell in a way that people can understand that violence just didn't pop out of the ether, out of nowhere, and poverty just happened, and we're here. Everything has a correlation. Everything has its connection. And when you're talking about the African American experience, we're talking about, as I said before, a white supremacist society that we continue to live with today. And in spite of all that black people have went through, when you're dealing with redlining, when dealing with Jim Crow, the black codes, actual slavery, everything that racism has permeated in housing and in jobs and all these other places, in spite of all these things, black people have made something beautiful. we made hip hop music. And even when you come back to New York, how they were taking away the music programs and taking away opportunities in black neighborhoods, black people still found a way. They still made something out of nothing, and to the point that something out of nothing is a global force. So it's important that I think that message, if they could have articulated that in the documentary or the short expose on the root causes of poverty in black neighborhoods and why that experience is unique to the African American experience, and how we came out on the other end being shining gems. And that we have to learn from our past, understand why it happened, what is going on today, and how we can circumvent those issues for tomorrow, for the next generation. Is what G Herbo was trying to do when he was in that classroom talking to the youth 8-9 years old. So I'm not going to say it was a total waste, but I think that it was done. I think it was done in good taste, but there was some missing elements there that I think that was necessary for people to see, not just for African Americans they're viewing this on ABC News Channel, but it's also an American story where everyone should be able to hear that and connect the dots on why things are the way they are and how hip hop is our shining gem. Even though we're still going through all of these things, and black people have a long way to go to fix our trauma and to deal with our trauma. And I wish that there were mental health facilities like we have bodegas here in New York or in any major city where we can deal with it. Because it's not just that what we went through is what we are going through right now. So yeah, that is interesting. On a good note, man, Morgan Heritage, the reggae group, the Grammy Award winning reggae group, is dropping another album. It's called Homeland, and they're making those connections over to the motherland over there in Africa. So I'm looking forward to hearing these brothers putting out another record. I played some of their music on my show too, got in touch with their people. And man, I'm looking forward to hearing their father passed, with the original member of Morgan Heritage, but the sons are continuing on pushing this music. So yeah, that's what's up. All right, so I think that's it. I'm not going to talk anymore. I think I've held on to your time quite long enough. I appreciate everybody that's listening to the show. Please stay tuned in. Go to my YouTube channel, subscribe. You can follow me also on iHeartRadio or anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Follow me on Twitter, Lyfeblood.com. You could go to IG when I do post, Lyfeblood.com, and also the Fanbase. Go to Fanbase. You can find me there on Fanbase and TikTok, all under the same handle. So thank you guys for listening to me. I'm going to get out of here and see if I can get some dinner. Be well. Much love. I'm out.
Check it.
You just listened to GCOM Radio, powered by Lyfeblood.com for the global community.
We worldwide, baby.
See you in the next go round. From right here to your town, we out.